may have been imagining something, but lo and behold, it wasn't. So there you go. Anybody call in that they were going to come?
Mr. Kaltenbach, and then Mr. Hicks. Well, remember, we still got 5 minutes. Andrew's always right on the money. And Bob's usually here.
And do we have one of our alternates? Are they going to be joining us?
She never responded to any of the emails that she was, but I had enough response with everyone else.
Okay.
We just need one more person.
Maintenance needs to come up and change the clock. Get that around here really early.
Don't tell me to stall.
There we go.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Hey, how's it going?
You say winner, chicken dinner? Yep. What does that mean? It's just $150.
How are you?
Go green, huh?
Yes, absolutely. We'll see how they do in the tournament.
What's that?
We'll see how they do in the tournament.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody can beat Purdue. So there you go.
Then the hockey team.
The hockey teams, that's amazing.
Hockey, gymnastics, soccer.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. It's not football. Huh? It's not football. Definitely not football. Maybe
it'll come back.
Maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah, I'd be thrilled with the hockey team. Do you have tickets? Good season tickets to the hockey games or not?
Yeah, I run the clock.
Oh, well, that's
official, so.
Oh,
I did not know that. I'm sorry.
Yep, have for.
I guess that makes you there.
Like 20 some odd years.
Oh.
Oh, really?
I knew you're involved in hockey, but I didn't.
Yep.
Did that.
How about that?
And I actually don't have to work this game, so I can actually sit and be a fan for it.
So that makes you span how many coaches? 3?
I started with Mason.
Oh my.
So Mason, Conley, Nastis, Cole, and now Nightingale.
Amazing how far he's gotten those young men to perform. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's done a really good job.
According to my clock, it's 6 o'clock. We have a quorum. Meeting the Delta Township side board of appeals is called to order. For starters, will you please join me in that pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is roll call. David Arking, that's me, present. Andrea Cascarello,
Present.
David Corey,
Present.
Tim Kaltenbach, Robert McConnell,
President.
Sue Parr,
Here.
Amanda Wardana. Okay. Next item is approval of the agenda. David, are there any additions or modifications to the agenda?
Not tonight.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as given.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, agenda is adopted. Citizen comments for items not on the agenda for the signboard. Anybody want to make a comment about something that's not on this? Hearing none, okay. Correspondence. David, do you have any correspondence on this petition or any others?
Not tonight.
Okay. We also have approval of minutes from the last time we met, which was way back in January 10th of 2023. I've glanced at them, they look accurate to me, but my memory's not that good.
That must have been 24.
Hmm?
Wasn't that January?
No, the sideboard.
Signboard.
Signboard.
23.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
oh,
was-
I'm sorry. I make a motion to approve the minutes. of the
Support.
January 10th meeting.
Motion approved with support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. That brings us to case number SV 24-01. Dave, would you please present the case?
Before the board today, we have a application to establish a UBD with Lansing Town Center, which is this parcel, and also we'll call the target parcel, which is this parcel. The reason being, actually was in the meeting minutes from in your packet, so you should all be well refreshed. But essentially, there's a historic target sign located approximately right about there on Lansing Town Center's property, which is technically an off-premise sign, and without a UBD, the target sign would not be able to be there. So, you know, I worked with the owners of Lansing Town Center to try to, you know, establish this UBD, and here we are. So we'll talk about surrounding land use and zoning. To the north is C Commercial, which is Lansing Mall. To the east is C Commercial, the Goodwill Building and the Meyer property. To the south, RM multifamily. West, C Commercial, and, you know, multiple properties. Going into the standards of review, essentially the only thing that I found that they didn't meet was consent of all owners, which Target has said that they will apply in an email, and we just need something a little bit more formal. The applicant has been made aware of what the township expects, and we assume that we will get that shortly.
But that could be a condition of the permit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going forward, we have section 32-46. The proposed signage shall not be contrary to the public interest or to the purpose of this chapter. Applicant has stated that the purpose of the signage is identification of the Lansing Town Center businesses and target on one large sign and will not be contrary to the public interest. And we'll just keep going. They met all the standards for this area. One point I wanted to talk about is section 32-47, which is a waiver authority that the sign board has. So if we look at B, the maximum display area, maximum height of permitted individual signs may be increased by a maximum of 25%. So essentially what that's doing is in a typical UBD, we'll say in the new UBD, the signage is reduced by 75 to 75% of what is typically eliminated. So by allowing this 25%, you are essentially allowing the businesses to have a sign like they would normally have if they weren't in a UBD. In this specific situation, that's beneficial to a lot of small businesses who already have existing signs, which if we did not allow for this, they would have 3 years to buy brand new signs, which conform to this 75% reduction. So seeing that, it just seems logical and fair to utilize this waiver authority at this time. Going in sign restrictions, and this is where we talk about that 75%. Mobile signs, which we got a definition for the last time. You do have a couple businesses who utilize mobile signs. If you could talk to your tenants and let them know that if they could stop that. And hopefully the larger sign along Saginaw Highway would be sufficient to pull people's attention into their business. So staff is recommending approval with 3 stipulations, and I can take any questions that you'd have.
Thank you. I have one question. I want to make sure I'm properly understanding the exemption. So are they applying for something that's larger than 25% more?
No, so
Okay.
In a UBD, like if you're allowed the UBD signs, business signs, but then also each individual suite is allowed a wall sign. So typically the wall signs are determined by lineal square footage. And in like a new UBD, so for instance, in Delta Crossings, that linear footage is reduced by 25%. So all the signs are actually smaller than what they typically would allow. In this instance, these businesses who are, smaller independent businesses have already spent, thousands of dollars on signage. So by allowing B, you're really just allowing them to keep their existing signs and have them be conforming and legal. So there's automatically a 75% reduction or 25% reduction in the UBD. And this is basically just waiving that reduction.
So as worded, a variance here wouldn't inadvertently give carte blanche to an increase of any size.
No, they would be able to have the same signs that they have now. If we didn't allow this, they would have 3 years to replace the signs and have smaller signage.
Okay, that was my concern. Any other board members have questions for staff? With that, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Support.
Motion on the floor, has support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none. We are in the public hearing. Is there anybody here that's here to speak for the petitioner? Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jim Johnson, Johnson Sign Company. Address is 2240 Lansing Ave, Jackson, Michigan. And thank you all for being here today. I have been working with the property owners for a long time on this project. I didn't realize the last time we were here was January of 23 with this. So it's been a lot of legwork that this owner has done with the property, getting all these property owners or all of these different parties involved and in agreement with this plan. So we're very pleased that we're able to come up with a plan that benefits their current tenants and any further and future tenants. It will finally allow them to have the opportunity to have signage on Saginaw Highway, which has been a big burden for them with their tenants and with potential tenants. So we're really excited for that. And we're thankful for the staff's help. This is the first time we've went through the UBD process. So it's been enlightening and fun. So I appreciate all your help, David, with that. And we're excited for the package we came up with. We took all the points from our last call or our last meeting, and we worked hard to get a solution that would work for for this existing sign with Target and the existing tenants, as well as being able to have all their other tenants with the opportunity to have their tenant panels out on site. So, if anyone has any questions, we're here to answer any. And I'd be happy to stick around and stand up here. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the petitioner from board members? Was it easy? Further discussion before we close the public hearing? No?
Is that other sign coming down then? That's not the Target sign, but the other that has, this sign is so much nicer than the one that's there right now in front of,
Qdoba.
Kiddo.
Yep.
So much nicer. It's,
So the only sign that'll be on is this sign, which, so this issue fixes a couple problems that were noted in the last sign board meeting.
No other comments? I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
almost,
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Then we are at the public hearing. Council members, what is your pleasure? Zoning board members?
Prepared to make a motion. I move the sign board of appeals approve the unified business development sign plan for Lansing Town Center, waiving the standard 32-47B for the following reasons, of which there are four, the following stipulations, of which there are three.
Everybody hear the motion, understand it? Yes, motion on the floor, it has support, all in favor, say aye. Oh, no, there's a roll call, sorry. David Arking, me, yes. Andrea Cascarella,
Yes.
David Corey,
Yes.
Robert McConnell,
Yes.
Sue Parr,
yes.
motion passes. Dave, will you please inform the applicant of what happens for next steps?
All right, so your UBD is approved. You can go ahead and get a building permit. And any new signage that you want to add, in the future, will have to also come with a UBD amendment. So we'll be back in this room to discuss it.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for improving that area. The sign was gonna be such an improvement.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Good evening.
We have to adjourn this meeting.
We do.
We do, but just a second here. Let me get through the agenda. Dave, do you have other business or staff comments?
So myself and Aaron, the new assistant manager, have been working on content neutrality for sign ordinance update. We're probably about 60% of the way through. So hopefully that'll be before the board in the next couple months.
Might be good to have a education session about that.
So the interesting thing about the sign ordinance, though, it's not actually I don't believe that you guys will see it or discuss it. We'd have to talk to the manager's office. I think it's just a township board thing.
But we have to implement it. We have to understand it. So it'd probably be good to have an overview of the changes.
Sure. In that regard, yeah, I have no problem with that.
What is it, Mr. Chair? What is the essence of content neutrality?
So your standards can't be based on reading a sign to determine what the sign is. So in 2015, the Supreme Court threw us for a loop with a very controversial ruling in the world of people who enforce sign ordinances. So I can't look at a sign and read it to determine what kind of sign it is. I have to use basically location or form, height restrictions, stuff like that. So it's a convoluted way to go about the same thing, but we gotta get creative and it's been fun.
I'm sorry, you've had to go
Would
through.
that make it more difficult for staff?
I mean, it's difficult to write something that makes sense and is easily, you know, and universally understood to business owners and lay people. But once you do it, it's, you know, it's fine. It's just a matter of figuring out what makes sense for each community because everyone's a little bit different.
Dave, it might be helpful for the board members if they're notified. I don't know if you know, as you know, obviously being a trustee, I'm gonna be participating in that board discussion, but maybe letting all the ZBA members know in case they're interested in,
Oh, yeah, I can definitely.
you know, rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah, like that.
duplicate that discussion around the purpose and
Sure.
what the changes are, just might be helpful.
But I think
That
going forward, you know, there's a couple of the variances that we've done throughout the years that were just kind of commonplace, but we're gonna baby step our way and just do content neutrality first, get that going, and then we'll bring in various other amendments so it doesn't get too confusing.
Sure, makes sense. Thank you.
Are the people gonna be here for the next one?
So they are here on Zoom and Dave Marquette said that I shouldn't have a problem. So I'm hoping that that's the case. If not, we'll have to get my cell phone and put it next to a microphone or something. We'll figure it out though.
Okay, continuing with the sign board agenda, any board member comments about anything sign related? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, we are adjourned. Why don't we take 5 minutes?
Okay. Yep. Lauren, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
perfect. Yeah, we can hear you. So
Awesome.
this is gonna work out well.
Perfect.
Lauren is joining us from Chicago.
Ghost.
Yes, I am. My brother goes to MSU though, so go green.
Did you want to share your screen or do you just want me to show them the packet based on?
I was gonna say, I think it's fine if you want to just share the screen.
Okay, that's
If
fair,
I
yeah.
think maybe I should take over, I will, but I don't really have anything other than kind of what you have in the report to, I
Perfect.
guess, show.
Thank you.
That was faster than I thought. Maybe we don't need 5 minutes. What do people think? We can really enjoy it?
Yes,
So
fine with me.
All right, we have a quorum. I hereby call the meeting of the Delta Township Zoning Board of Appeals to order. I'm happy to do the Pledge of Allegiance again. I love it as much as the next guy, but I feel like we just did it. Right. Roll past that. Take a roll call vote for the record. David Arking, that's me. I'm here. Andrea Cascarella.
present.
David Corey.
Here.
Robert McConnell.
President.
Sue Parr.
Here.
Tim Caldebeck and Ananda Wardena not available. Okay, approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support by Ms. Cascarella. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Welcome, Lauren. This is a spot on our agenda where it says citizen comments for items not on the agenda. So I have to ask.
You know, I do not.
Okay. I assume there's nobody else on Zoom that has questions as well. All right, correspondence. Dave, do we have any correspondence on this petition or others?
Not today.
Okay. Approval of minutes. Before you have the December 19th, 2023 meeting minutes. They look good to me. What do folks think?
I'm going to approve the minutes.
Support.
Motion on the floor, it has support, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, the minutes of the December 19th, 2023 meeting are approved. Which brings us to case number PV-2024-01. Dave, why don't you present this case?
Sure. So before the board, we have a variance request from Bank of America. They're located at 5507 West Saginaw Highway, actually in the parking lot of Lansing Town Center, which we were just talking about at the sign board meeting. So they're requesting a variance from section 12.05 A2 and B and 12.05 B1 to allow for new building and parking lot lighting, which exceeds 10-foot candles at grade and exceeds the lighting limits permitted at the property line. Neighboring land uses are to the north. We have Lansing Mall Outlets with a C commercial zoning district. To the east, Lansing Town Center, also C commercial. To the west, various strip malls, also C commercial. And to the south, again, Lansing Town Center, C commercial. Included in the packet were the preliminary SLE. Sorry, that's the variance narrative. So these are the standards I included. So the board would be able to have at hand what they're asking. A variance from primary findings of fact, the applicant desires to install new lighting at the Bank of America building. The requested lighting produces levels of light which are brighter than what is permitted in the zoning ordinance. The applicant has stated that a brighter facility is necessary to meet minimum bank security lighting requirements, and the property is surrounded by commercial land uses along the Saginaw Highway corridor. These are the stated criteria for variance approval, and this is where Lauren would give the presentation.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a representative for Bank of America.
Just a moment before we do that, Lauren, I need to
sorry.
Hearing into a session.
Oops, sorry, go ahead.
But before I even do that, I need to ask if there's any discussion on board members or questions for staff. Yep.
I have one.
Mr. McConnell.
What is the rationale for the lighting standard we currently have?
I would say it leans towards lower lights, lower lighting to prevent a glare going into residences and additional properties. The reasoning behind our standard is essentially it's what the consultant told us was appropriate. Doing research between the difference between 10 and 20, it's really a range. I couldn't find anything that was, oh, this is so bright and this is perfect. There's not any great example that I could have provided for you, which I tried to, so you have a little bit more context of what you are, voting against. However, I will say that, a 20 candle foot is not overly bright. A lot of the, ranges of illumination that I saw, it was, this is what a 10 to 20 looks like. So it's still within the range of a lower lighting.
As I think you stated in your report, one of the goals is to keep it out of the street, the glare.
Okay, so it really doesn't deal with the issue of lighting the sky.
Well, they're still going to have capped lights that are going to shoot down, so it still protects against light pollution up. It's really more light pollution, cast aside.
Okay.
Is this a new thing that?
It's part.
Oh, I'm sorry. That they because of security, there's so many lights around there with Meyer and Goodwill and.
I'm not sure if it's a new thing for the specific bank. So perhaps the applicant would be best to answer that.
Yeah, because I was just worried that is that going to set a precedence for others that they can go up in lights, go up in their candle. so.
Mr. Cascarella.
Yeah, on that too, just while we're kind of having that discussion and before we get into it, you know, I think it'll be important, one, to hear from the applicant or their representative, but also lighting is one of those things that is, you know, a tremendous value in protecting against crime. And so, you know, I don't know. I know we always need to be concerned about precedent, but we've also seen where, oh, we've got some standards in our ordinances, and I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but that, okay, that's not really warranted, and might be more appropriate. So I think it'll be interesting to understand kind of some of those questions, you know, answers to those questions, and maybe this is one of these things we do need to adjust, or maybe it's just a policy. I don't know, maybe it's different when it's a financial institution versus others, you know, with security.
One thing I'll be interested in is hearing any comments that the applicant has on how they quantify their variance request. I mean, the variance is for so many lumens, and it's a specific number. And I don't get a sense from the report as to, you know, what the exact request is in excess of that. So hopefully you can get me some help with that. And also to extend Mr. McConnell's question, you know, I'd be interested in some guidance on what went into creating the bank's lighting standard. Personally, I'd feel better if we had a letter on file from the county sheriff saying that the variance request was necessary to provide adequate protection of the property. We don't have that. But I need to have a better understanding of why this is necessary and how much it is, how much the variance actually is. So with that, are there any other questions? Comments?
To open the public hearing.
Public hearing, yeah.
Motion to open the public hearing has support from Ms. Parr. Ms. Cascarella made the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We are in the public hearing for the case. Thank you, Lauren. We have Lauren Farrell here with Project Expedited Consulting for Bank of America. Lauren, would you please present your petition?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. So I'm a representative for Bank of America, and then also on the Zoom call we have David Bruce with GMR, who is the lighting designer, and he I'm going to refer to him a little bit later for more, I guess, specific bank requirements to go more into that. Essentially, as you guys were saying, the reasons for these lighting upgrades are largely due to their own security standards. So these standards are used nationwide, specifically and updated specifically to target high risk and high traffic areas around the bank. So namely the drive-through and the ATM for security reasons, you know, just because of the nature of the business. So there are the two new poles that are proposed near the drive-through on the east side of the building, and they both exceed 10-foot candles at grade. Again, I'll refer to David in the future for exactly how much they're exceeding. And then there's the existing, so there's existing 8 surface canopy light fixtures at the drive-through, and then an additional 8 wall mount fixtures at the drive-through, which will exceed 10-foot candles at grade. So the wall and the canopy mounted fixtures are on shorter areas of the building, which in turn makes it a little bit more difficult to meet that 10-foot candle requirement. However, there will be less glare due to the fact that we're only replacing these fixtures, which are a mix of LED/on LEDs. As for the light spill that goes over the northern property line, so this goes into the access drive of the shopping center. So it's located far away enough from Saginaw Highway and the sidewalk in terms that it shouldn't impact drivers or pedestrians, which I know is the main concern there. The light spill just goes into that access drive, which there's some parking there as well that's for the shopping center. David, I think I'm going to refer to you now, I guess, to speak maybe a little bit more on the Bank of America standards that which which is the basis for, I guess, this variance.
Yeah, I can jump in. My name is David Bruce. I work for GMR, and we are the lighting design firm hired by Bank of America. So to start off this program, it's called the ELP program. It's a nationwide program by Bank of America. The standards that are set, some of them are state required. Michigan is not one of those states, but Bank of America is trying to increase security across their entire portfolio. So the standard really comes from for the state requirements, there's a minimum foot candle level that should be within 50 feet of an ATM or a lobby, an interior lobby that has an ATM has 24-hour access. So the goal of that is to bring everything as close to in line across, all of the Bank of America sites. And then the other goal is to upgrade all of the existing fixtures on site to LED just for energy and cost savings. So that's really where the standards are coming from. And then I can speak a little bit to where we're exceeding. So as you can see there, these are the calculations from the lights. And so anything you're seeing on there that is green is an existing fixture that's just being replaced with a new LED fixture. Anything that's in blue is a new fixture. So there's 2 new poles being added near the drive-through. And then all the rest of the fixtures that are green, those are just existing that are being replaced. And then in pink there, those are actually 2 poles that they're existing poles, but they're very short currently. I believe they're in the 10-foot range. And so we are just going to remove those existing poles and replace them with a little bit taller poles. So we're reaching more of the parking area near the bank. That's pretty much the overview of the plans. So if you'll have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Yeah, David, a couple questions. One, you mentioned,
Andrea, can you speak into the mic?
oh, sorry. I moved it because I felt like it was in front of me when I was, earlier. So yeah, I apologize. Can you share a little bit? You mentioned kind of the plan for this location is modeled after kind of minimum standards from some other states. Share one kind of I don't know how many other states have those kind of minimum standards that this meets, but then and who those are. But then secondly, for states that don't, like Michigan, that don't have a set minimum standard for financial institutions. Can you just share a little insight on what your experience has been in those states, if you're finding you're needing variances there as well because the standard exceeds those lighting ordinance thresholds or not?
Yeah. So some of the states that have requirements are like California, Texas, Florida, Illinois. The state requirements in those are 2-foot candles within 50 feet of an exterior ATM or a 24-hour access ATM, and then 2-foot candles for any parking that's within 60 feet of those ATMs or lobbies. And then they have requirements within 10 feet of those ATMs as well, that it's a minimum of 10-foot candles is within 10 feet of those. So for non-regulated states like Michigan, the bank doesn't try and meet the exact same standards. So we're looking for a minimum of 1-foot candle within 50 feet of the ATM. Since there's not a state requirement, the bank feels that 1-foot candle just provides enough light in those areas. When talking about, other cities or counties that we run into, sometimes an ordinance does affect us meeting the bank's requirements. And we really take that on a case-by-case basis. It really depends on, what the ordinance is, where the site is located. When you have like a max foot candle level of 10, that is always going to be difficult to meet, especially when you're talking about like a canopy area, which, you know, the drive-through lane has a canopy. Typically there's multiple lights there, and 10 is pretty low for a canopy area. Just because there's a concentration of lights under there. But it really is kind of a case by case basis for, you know, what the ordinances are in a specific location, and, you know, how close is the branch to the property line. There's multiple things that factor in to if we can meet it or not. And, you know, sometimes we go to more board meetings like this and just try and explain what we're trying to do. And again, I mean, the sole driver of this program is to just increase safety and security around the ATMs. There's plenty of data backing up that those are high target areas for people. And so the bank would really just wants their customers to have full visibility while they're using them and during all hours of night.
Yeah, thank you. That context is very helpful.
Just a note for the transcriptionist, if in case I forgot it, Dave and Lauren are addressing us from Chicago. I forgot to ask their address as we normally do. Could you both state your name and address again for the record? Sorry. For the transcriptionist use.
Sure. My name is Lauren Farrow, address 222 South Riverside Plaza, Chicago, Illinois, 60606.
And I am David Bruce, and I'm actually from Texas. So address is 2609 Ridge Oak Place, Garland, Texas.
Thank you for that. You just saved me a scolding. So, board members, in your pack, there's a criteria for variance approval that the petitioners have provided. Anybody have any questions about that? They run through the 5 criteria. David, can I ask you this? Would the new lighting standards help enhance the effectiveness of your security cameras at all? Is that a fair statement? Is that something that would happen?
Yes, I mean, I believe so. Like, the more well lit an area is, the better the cameras are going to be able to pick up anything should an incident occur.
And could you review for me exactly what would be done to keep the glare out of the street? So at some point, you're pretty close to Saginaw Highway, and there's a public service drive that bisects your parking lot there.
So Saginaw Highway, both of the poles on that side of the bank, I don't know if you can go back to the page that has the plan. Yeah, that would work. So both of those poles are facing, they're angled to be facing away from the street, and they're full cutoff fixtures, so they're facing 90 degrees. So the light spill should be very limited. And as you can see, the numbers, they start to taper down, and you're still in the parking lot here, and you're at 1, 2.6, 3.7. All of that will just start to taper off as you get closer to the street. I mean, I don't have the exact, because we don't have the full site plan all the way to the street to say it's 0, but it should be at 0 or close to by the time you're reaching Saginaw Highway. And those 2 poles are existing and already on site. So we would just be updating them with new LED fixtures.
I doubt any of your adjacent commercial neighbors are going to complain about the intrusion of free light on their parking lots.
I wouldn't expect them to. Most people do not mind having their parking lot well lit.
So can you help me get a sense of, you know, an upper limit of how big this variance is? I want to work with you, but I don't want to be inadvertently giving a variance for unlimited light at any time.
Right. So, I mean, as you can see, right under the canopy is the main area where you're going to get an excess of 10-foot candles. So we're in the, looks like 25.7, maybe the highest reading there. And that reading is also directly under the light. So I think the canopy especially is where you're going to see from the 18, 17, 15, 14 in that range. And then anything going out from the canopy, you really start to see those numbers come down. Again, you're going to get some light spill from the canopy lighting where you start to see 11 and then 10, and you start to see it drop off where just the poles are lighting. So the max really that we're looking for is in this 25 range right under the canopy. And anything outside of the canopy, you're really going to see those numbers come down pretty significantly. So I would say the max for the variance is in that 25, 26 range. And then, you know, you're going to have some areas where just because of the way you positioning lights, you might have a spot or two that are above the 10, but it really starts to taper off when you get away from the canopy.
Through chair.
That's Gorilla.
Yeah, just wondering if it might be appropriate and just thinking with the question you posed here, if it might be appropriate to have the variance that based on the canopy area and the lighting in the canopy area, since none of the lighting outside of the canopy area requires one.
Well, it's still, you know, so the limit's 10, this is 10.2 right here.
Yeah, you're still going to have, because some of the poles, you know, when you get a reading directly underneath the pole, you're going to get a brighter than it actually is when it's throwing the light out over the parking lot. So sometimes you run into issues where you can also have just like on an existing building, two lights that are already close together. It can create, you know, a reading that is over that just because of the way they were originally installed. And it can become difficult sometimes just when you start trying to remove lighting and running new electrical and patching holes where fixtures used to be. It can just kind of degrade the look of the building.
Sure. No, I can appreciate that. I don't know if there's something then, if there's an alternative, and I'll just throw it out there for numbers, but for consideration and to be more specific, because obviously, you know, we all as ZBA members need to be concerned about precedent that's set and the rationale for that. And so I wonder if it's something to be a little more precise than just a variance to exceed
That's what
10, that we say, for, that lighting, not under the canopy, not to exceed 15, and then pick the number, whatever it might need to be under the canopy, but still have thresholds that we can kind of look to, and again, aren't setting like an unlimited precedent moving forward. Again, your property, being surrounded by commercial, some of these concerns and the rationale for our current standards are less of an issue. But again, I think just to help protect the township and going forward, if some rationale might be made from a decision here, I think a little more clarity about what those limits would be helpful. And I'm comfortable distinguishing different standards there, some different limits if it's under a canopy or not recognizing that creates challenges under the canopy that are different from outside of it.
you and I have the same concern. I'm turning over a possible solution in my head, and I'm going to think out loud here. What if we establish it as a condition of granting the variance that light output in the new lighting plan will be approximately as mapped on the screen we're looking at now.
And probably not to exceed 26 foot
Lumens.
candles.
Candles.
Under the canopy.
Under the canopy, but I want to capture the whole map, and I want to say, not to exceed 10% more than what's mapped.
Sure. I think it's reasonable.
Does that sound workable to you folks? David, Lauren?
Yes, I would agree to that.
Yes.
Well, in that case, I'll go ahead and make a motion. No, wait, I have to close the public hearing. So moved.
Support.
Motion to close the public hearing, has support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Before I make a motion, any other discussion? All right. In the case of PV dash 2024-01, I move that the variance be granted because the applicants have reasonably demonstrated compliance, reasonably demonstrated compliance with the conditions of required for a variance, and the condition that light output under the new lighting plan for the entire property be approximately as mapped in the presentation, with the lighting not to exceed 10% of the value shown on that map.
Support.
Then.
Okay.
Remark that when you reiterated the variance request, you said it wrong.
I did.
It's PV 2024-001.
Correction, I meant PV dash 2024-01.
Good catch. Oh, there's difference on my copy.
Oh,
That's okay. I don't know what it is, David.
That's not, it's yeah, it's a little weird.
I've got PV dash 2024-01.
That's
the right
what
date?
yeah, that's what it is.
And on my paper says 001, so I just.
I bet we're not going to mistake it for any
I
other
think you're
case.
probably right. So I think we're good there.
So there's a motion on the floor. It has support. Roll call vote on this. David Arking, that's me. I vote yes. Andrew Coscarella,
Yes.
David Corey,
Yes.
Robert McConnell, support. Supar.
Support.
The motion passes. The variance is approved as detailed. Dave, please tell them the next steps.
Lauren, I can contact you tomorrow. We'll get you approval of your site plan, which you can then take to the building department to pull electrical permits for all the work you need.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
I'll do that later. Other business, Dave, or staff comments.
None today.
Do you have any zoning board projects over the horizon coming up?
There may be something in April.
Is it a skyscraper? No. Oh.
Don't tease me.
Hey, everybody's getting one but us. Just kidding. There may be one coming up.
Gary was talking to somebody. I don't know if they'll make the deadline for
Okay.
April submission, but it's possible. I will let you know as soon as I know.
Okay. Board comments or questions?
Yes, I have one,
Support.
Mr. Chair. I wondered if we could send a note to Jeff Hicks and thank him for all of his service for all these years. He's given so much to the township by being a trustee, and he's been a zoning board of appeals. It's 25 years.
That is an excellent idea.
I think you'd appreciate it a lot.
If members are okay, I'd be happy to buy a card and drop it off in care of Dave here to hold for you to come by and sign, if that's Sounds like something you'd like to do.
That would be fine.
Dave, is that acceptable?
That's fine.
I will get the card and get that, we're gonna miss Gary. He was a great guy to work with, a encyclopedia of zoning information. I've been on his body 15 years. He was on 10 years longer than that. He knew it, or at least 10 years. Then he was on the council as well. Great guy to work with, a very analytical mind, and he was pretty humorous too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe I'm complicating it. But, would it be possible to actually do a resolution?
It would be possible. Would you care to pen one?
I have to get some information. I haven't known him as long. I'd be happy to work on it.
Okay. I'll be happy to work on one too. We could do a resolution, a sense of the board for our next meeting. If you want to send me your thoughts, I'll try to incorporate those into a resolution and get it out to you as soon as I can get it out to you.
Well, I know his wife Lisa's staying back here until next December because then she can retire. And so he'll be, coming back and forth. But they're very happy about the decision. They said it's a wonderful opportunity.
He's quite happy. Yeah, so, I still know, I know how to get hold of him too. So he needs me to remind him not to have too much fun.
Austin is supposed to be a beautiful town. Really, I've never been there.
Gorgeous.
I heard that it's wonderful.
And there's no better Tex-Mex in the world. He's gonna find that out.
I don't think they have income tax either, do they? Is that why all these places are moving from California to state income tax? I meant.
That's why the electrical grid in the schools are the way they are. But what? So
Well, I think they all need to be caught up nationwide. We're gonna have electric cars. That's gonna happen.
Great idea, great suggestion. He would love to get a gesture of our esteem and appreciation, and I would be happy to do both the card and the resolution. So if you want to send me your thoughts for a resolution by email, I will incorporate those into a draft for everybody to take a poke at. Right, great.
Thank you.
And there's no timeline on that, but sooner is better than later. Other board comments?
Are we going to have another board member?
That is up to the board. Up to the.
Yes, we will have an alternate member.
Okay, is this lady that was at one of our meetings, is she going to?
Ananda, she's been approved as a permanent member.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did that on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Or not Monday, was it last Monday? Gosh, it feels like that was we just did that, but yeah, a week ago Monday. We did approve, but I've continued to encourage that we use that alternate member. So that it just is a nice transition. We've seen that work really well. So it's not just getting someone in brand new, but they have some familiarity with this process and how issues are.
I agree.
Township supervisor, he's got to get stable of candidates backed up. Yeah.
So I have encouraged that they find a new alternate.
Is Gary
continue with that practice?
Is Gary back full time?
Gary's back in the hospital right now.
Okay.
So he went in yesterday. I think he thinks he'll be gone all week. So highs and lows.
We could send Gary a card too.
That's weird because I just talked to him, but last week or so.
Yeah, it kind of just came
Nowhere.
He's in for what reason?
I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it's last time I talked to him, he was saying that it was his doctor believed it was a symptom of his dialysis that he's been on. So there's some sort of sickness that comes with it.
Godspeed to Gary. Any other board comments?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to adjourn the meeting, please.
Motion on the floor, and support, a lot of support. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, you're done. We are there, go home.
Awesome.
Enjoy the good weather while it lasts.